Alright guys, welcome to another video. So fortunately I was able to get access to the Classic TBC Beta. If you are a creator or streamer yourself who didn't get access to the beta, send me a little message on Discord and maybe I'll just sort something out for you, just as long as you have, a big enough following. But anyway, let's move on. So first thing I discovered, guys, is dungeon experience is terrible. It is really insanely bad. Okay, this is definitely going to change people's, launch plans, because you're going to get 1.5 bars of experience for an entire Ramparts run. And you're thinking, what about Blood Furnace? In Blood Furnace, you'll only get 2.25 bars of experience, okay? I tested this myself. It's terrible. It really is bad, the dungeon XP. So one thing that could be interesting in the future is, how people are going to make dungeons worth it over solo questing. Obviously, there's going to be issues with solo questing or group questing in the open world, depending on how well Blizzard do layering when TBC launches. It may be very difficult for you actually to complete quests very efficiently. So only time will tell. I think the only way, honestly, to make dungeons worth doing is having an extremely efficient group, decked out in tier 3 gear, maxed out with AoE DPS. I think that's the only way that people are going to be able to make dungeons compete with more, group outer in the world leveling. Open world leveling. I don't know why I said outer world leveling there. So anyway, next thing, on the TBC beta, there is this thing called a character boost, like a template character that you can make at level 58. And obviously people are theorizing that this is a representation of what the character boost is going to look like when it is released in the pre-patch, the paid character boost. Okay, so overall, the character that you get, he's decked out in green gear, okay, and it's really bad. I'm not going to lie, the gear is really bad, and this means definitely, when you're in the pre-patch, you definitely want to be getting as much gear as you possibly can. Probably PvP gear, because the starter gear is pretty terrible. Apart from the trinkets. The trinkets are actually not too bad. And what I did notice is you will get gear appropriate to your specialization. So, actually, I probably should test a druid before I finish talking. But when I made a warrior, I got a shield, I got a one-handed weapon, and I got a two-handed weapon. So that's pretty Bob's your uncle. I'm going to test druid right now, actually. So druids will get intellect weapons and an offhand, and then also an agility polearm. And then there's alternative trinkets and relics depending on, for each and every spec. And there's also alternative trinkets for a protection warrior, like tanking trinkets and stuff like that. But again, this may not be a representation of what a character boost is going to look like. It is really just a theory, but I'd say that it's a good guess that this is what the character boost is going to look like. So anyway, let's move on. Biggest question that people have been asking on my streams, by the way, Twitch, MetaGoblin 1, you can find that in the description. I think I must have had 100 people asking me about drums, okay? Drums is an interesting topic. Can't really give you, honestly, a good answer. So what's happened is people have data mined drums on the beta and found out that there is some very interesting changes, but this is only from data mining. This hasn't been fully tested on the beta. Essentially, we have normal drums. Your normal drums that you get, level like what 350 or whatever. Well, actually, no, you need 365 to learn them. But the yard radius has been dropped from 40 to 8. Okay, so that's been nerfed. But then, for some reason, there's this item called Greater Drums that requires 375 leatherworking skill, okay? And it requires more materials for you to actually craft. I think it's only 2 of each of the leather types, right? And then that is called, it's basically a different item. It's called Greater Drums of Battle, and it's a 40-yard range. So there's 2 versions of the drums now, okay? So I don't know how this is going to play out. Some people are thinking that it may only have 1 charge, but the data mining proved that it had 50 charges. But when you look at the recipe on the, the Aldor reputation guy, it's only 1 charge. So, yeah, we don't really have a clear answer on this, because if they have made it like as if it appears from the data mining, somehow they've managed to actually make it worse, which would be quite an achievement, and I find that fairly unbelievable that that could be possible, that they could have actually somehow made it worse. But only time will tell with that one. Okay, so people have obviously been theorising that you can use Zul'Gurub coins or AQ40 rep token turn-in quest, whatever, to get experience at level 60 because you can stack that item, you know, before the game launches. I mean, did people honestly think that you would be able to do that? Because you can't do it, okay? On the beta, it absolutely confirms you cannot gain experience at level 60 from those tokens. Impossible. What a surprise, okay? I've been telling this, you know, for ages on my channel and on my Twitch, like, as if that was ever going to fly. What we could possibly do, though, is stack those coins up for your boosted character. Your boosted character will be level 58, not level 60, so you may be able to give those coins to your level, you know, 58 character and get your XP up to 60 very quickly. But, yeah, so... But obviously that was not going to fly. The next thing, so Primal Nevers do not appear to be bind on pickup, okay? That, by the way, guys, was not on launch of TBC. They became, you know... I guess BOE later on, and you can also buy them from the badge vendor for 10 badges of justice. Okay, this was quite interesting. This is definitely not you know, a TBC launch thing. This came way later, so that's quite interesting. So Primal Nevers, whether that change is going to be in, you know, TBC Classic, we'll find out. I guess it might. I think you got to bear in mind, guys, is things may be there purely for testing purposes. Okay. We also noticed that, you know, PvP vendors were not available and things like this. So some stuff might be put into the game for testing purposes. We also noticed that you can buy arena gear with Alteric marks of, you know, honor, which is obviously not going to be in TBC Classic. So a lot of these things that we're looking at could be for testing purposes. They could be beta specific and they're not going to be like that in TBC Classic at all. Everything I talk about in this video, to be honest, is probably subject to change. We also noticed that you can get your mount to level 30, you know, your 6% mount to level 30 instead of level 40. So that is a welcome change for people who are going to be leveling in the pre-patch, you know, your Shamans and Blood Elves. Moving on, obviously we have worked out that it is cheaper to buy your level 60 mount, you know, your 100% speed mount in the pre-patch. What we're trying to work out is whether the horse riding or the ram riding specific training will grant you 150 riding skill in the pre-patch when the pre-patch hits, so you can, you know, choose a way of getting the mount very, very cheaply for about 120 gold. We're still working that out, because the only way I can actually work that out to get a clear answer is to delete my mount in Classic WoW. Okay, which is a big commitment just for testing purposes, and you know, it might not even be an accurate test. So I don't really want to delete my mount because it costs 1k gold in Classic WoW to test this theory. But maybe we'll get a more clear answer on that in the future. So next thing, alcohol buffs will share a buff slot with the food buff. Okay, that's another big thing that has been changed. We also know that Druid power shifting works totally fine. It works totally fine. You can do Druid power shifting, you can play Feral Druid and exploit the you know, Wolf's Head helmet and everything like that. All that is still in the game. It's probably going to get removed in Wrath of the Lich King instead. And there's a few other things that I want to bring up, some strange inconsistencies, again, which is probably because of, you know, testing purposes. Things are probably going to be different on the beta than they actually will be in TBC Classic, but, you know, there's stuff like, we can see particular meta gems available in the game that we can buy that were only available in patch 2.1, but then we can't see any engineering goggles available that were supposed to be available in the same patch. So yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies that we probably cannot get a very clear answer on just yet. Last few things, guys. I mean, it's hard to remember. You know, it was a very big stream. We were testing a lot of things, trying to work stuff out. But you can now buy the Alteric Valley mount for marks of Alteric Valley, and you can also buy particular gear pieces. For instance, like a lot of really good weapons, like the Unstoppable Force, for Alteric marks of honor. Okay, so again, like gearing up your boosted characters is going to be much easier because you just have to farm, you know, marks of honor. Which is going to be really good. And obviously, if you already have a character now that you can farm marks of honor on, then you can save up those marks of honor to buy some of the really good gear that's going to drop in a pre-patch, because you won't need reputation. Okay, I could look at those items, they weren't red or anything, I could buy them without having reputation. I went all the way to the Alteric, you know, resource, what's it called, the Alteric vendor, let's just call him the rep vendor, whatever. And yeah, he was there, like, selling all the stuff, and I could buy it. I just needed the marks of honor. But anyway, guys, if there is more questions that you know, you want to ask me about the beta, then the best thing to do, honestly, is to catch me on my live streams at obviously Twitch, MetaGoblin1. You'll find it in the description. Ask me questions while I'm streaming, and then we'll go and experiment. We'll go and find stuff out, because that's what I'm mainly doing on the beta right now. I'm running around on my rogue. It's very useful having stealth. And one thing we did also find out is you cannot get to the... It just reminded me. You can get to the elemental plateau, you know, where all the elementals are in Nagrand. You cannot get there early by killing yourself in the water. You're going to need a flying mount to get up there. We did test that little cheeky little exploit that you can do. So yeah, it looks like exploits of that have been refined out of the game. But yeah, but guys, if you want to ask more questions, you want to find out more stuff, you know, obviously jump on my Twitch. I think I've said that 3 times now, I apologise. But anyway, my name is MetaGoblin. To my next video. Ciao.